know the state so well, and it was a very successful job. I was very young, and that's what gave me maybe confidence. You know, it was confidence. So here we are together. It's just amazing. What a group of people. And by the way, we have thousands of people outside, and a lot of them aren't going to be able to get in. This place is packed. So should we let them stay outside, or should we try and open it up even further we can? So thank you all. We really appreciate it. We're going to have a good time considering we have a lot of bad subject matter. You know, we don't win it anymore, right? Look at this guy. We don't win it anymore. So we're going to discuss it, and we don't want to be critics. We want to be critics that solve problems, not just talk about them. And we've got problems. We'll get those problems solved. So I guess you probably heard, because I love talking about it. You know, they say, you like talking about polls. That's only because when you're winning, you're talking about polls. If I drop into number 2 position, I don't think I'm going to say it. If I drop further than that, but that's not going to happen, folks. Not going to happen. So we had an amazing few days with the polls. You've all been watching television, right? And these guys, the pundits go, oh no, look, oh my God, look, Trump. And it's been amazing. Fox came out with a poll. And in the Fox poll, wow, the Fox poll is fantastic, but that's not as good as some of the others. Trump is 28, and second is 18. Wow. Your governor's only 2. What happened? Washington Post polls for this one, Trump is 32%. Now, remember, when you say 32, that's 32%, and we have, like, what is it left? 15. They go now one by one. I love it. But one by one. So I'm 32. Kasich is, should I miss you? 3. I heard he was dropping out. Somehow, you know, when you're the governor of a state, you gotta run in the state. In CBS, South Carolina, Trump 35, one of the really important states. Kasich is 2. That's not good. We gotta work on that. So I'm winning in Iowa. I'm gonna say we're winning because we're winning together, folks. South Carolina, I just said we're winning big. You know, you get 35% of the vote, and you have all those people running. That's sort of pretty amazing. So they're amazed at how we're doing, and I'm not. Because I come out and I meet so many people, and the crowds are like this. The crowds are always packed. We had $20,000. So something happened. I mean, there's something There's some really amazing things and some really good things happening. But in Dallas, we had 20,000 people. In Mobile, Alabama, we had 35,000 people. In Oklahoma, a few weeks ago, we had 20,000 people. In Iowa, we have the biggest crowds by far, thousands. In New Hampshire, thousands. Virginia, we have thousands, 10,000. Now, they never reported it properly. Look at all those cameras back there. Just look at it. Look. Unbelievable. 20,000 people. In Mobile, Alabama, we had 35,000 people. In Oklahoma, a few weeks ago, we had 20,000 people. In Iowa, we have the biggest crowds by far, thousands. In New Hampshire, thousands. Virginia, we have thousands, 10,000. Now, they never reported properly. Look at all those cameras back there. Do you believe this? Look at it. Look. Unbelievable. Look at those cameras, and they'll never show the crowd. You won't become stars tonight, but you're going to become stars when we turn around the country. You're going to become stars. because we're going to get it turned around and it's going to be so beautiful to watch. But every time I come home, my wife said, I watched you on television tonight. Can you believe they're always live? It's always live. Someday I'd like to make a speech non-live. Oh, would I love to do that. But it's always live. And she said, did you have many people there? It sounded like a lot of people. And I said, let me ask you why. Because they never fan, they never show the crowds. These people never ever show the crowds. They don't show this. Show the crowds. Can you fan and show? Show the crowds. Show those crowds. Show the crowds. They don't do it anyway. You know, it was amazing. 2 nights ago, we had a phenomenal room just like this. And the place was packed. And we had one protester in the very back. And he started screaming and yelling, and really was very badly, it was terrible, actually. But security, nothing to do with my security, it's the local security, the convention center security. They took him out. The cameras never moved. I said, show the crowd. The cameras stayed, just now they stayed the same, they never moved. They don't do it purposely. I figured maybe they weren't adjustable, but as soon as this guy was taken out, all of the cameras were right on him, you know? They were right on him. They were following him right out the door. And then they said he got treated rough. First of all, it wasn't my people if they treated him rough, but he was really misbehaving badly. It's one of those things. But I found out those cameras do move. They just don't want to move for us. But you know what? We're a silent majority that's no longer silent. Remember that. No longer. We're no longer silent. And it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing the love, the enthusiasm when you come to these places. A friend of mine who's a very rich guy, very successful, he said, how do you make all these speeches? It's so incredible. You stand up. He said, the guy's worth a tremendous amount of money. Less than me, by the way, but that's it. No, he's worth a lot of money. He said, how do you make these speeches? And you don't use teleprompters. And I said, you know, you shouldn't be allowed to use teleprompters when you're running for president. No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. You know how easy that would be? I walk up and I look at this one, and I look at that one, and you talk for about half hour, and they're off in a half hour. I made one the other day, it was for an hour and 45 minutes. Right? No teleprompter, no nothing, no speech, no notes. And you know what does happen is you first of all, it's more exciting because you never know what the hell's going to happen, right? No, it's true. But it's more exciting, but you're also speaking from the heart. She just said it. You're speaking from the heart. And a friend of mine said, how do you do that to get before? He said, I wouldn't be able to sleep for a month if I had to speak in front of crowds like we're doing. And, you know, you have 10,000, 12,000 people here tonight. You have thousands. Thousands outside. Look at them, they're still pouring in. There's no room to pour in. That's the problem. They're watching through a door. That's beautiful. I love you anyway. You should have gotten here a little bit earlier like these folks. I'm sorry. I mean, how do you say we want to get a bigger room? This is a big room, right? You have to say, gee, we need larger than... You're right. You're right. But so many things have happened. And I said to him, honestly, when you get up to speak in front of these crowds, and I really mean this, there's such love in the room. It's like easy. It's not hard to do. It's easy. We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. It's not hard to do. So the nice thing about doing it also is when you have to have speechwriters, you know, all these guys have pollsters. They spend a fortune for pollsters. Some spend millions. They give these pollsters all this money. And I always say, if the pollster were so good, why aren't they running, right? They're not good. And some are good. I know a lot of them. They're nice people. They write, and the guy says exactly what. It's just exactly what they say. But they can't think without the pollster. And I said, you know, it just seems like pollsters, what's not so bad, but they pay $100,000 a month. One guy I heard $250,000 a month. So what happens is the pollsters are very tough people because they have to prove their domination over our candidate. I don't want a candidate that can be dominated by a pollster. Do we agree? Right? I don't want it. But they have to show that. So what happens is they're always afraid, including Hillary. She's petrified because she doesn't want to hurt her pollster. And Jeb is afraid to speak. Remember when he says low energy, huh? There are certain terms that define people. They just get defined. But it is true. You know, every 3 days another poll comes out. Paid for by those guys. Millions. They spend millions. I read all about myself. He got this, he got that, but they don't like this, but they love this. But they do say they love him on the economy by far. They love him on leadership by far. They love him on terrorism. All those things. They love him. They don't like my personality, but that's only because they don't know me. Who cares? They think I'm not as nice. I'm probably the nicest person, but I'm not a sucker the way these people are taking advantage of. And you're not a sucker. And you know what? We're tired of being run by stupid people. That's what the whole thing is about. We're tired. We're tired. So, when I ran for president, and I announced at Trump Tower, and it takes courage to do that. I was with, you know, the famous escalator with Melania coming down, and I'm coming down. She's waving very elegantly. I'm going like this, like a crazy person. But we're coming down on the escalator in New York City at Trump Tower. But before I did that, I said, man, because you take all of those people and the number of press and everything, you never saw anything like it. It was crazy. And I said to myself, all right, let's go. And I just took a deep breath. You know, you ever do something where you just say, oh, not easy. Again, I'm not a politician. I've been a politician now for 4.5 months. I'm not a politician. Thank goodness. All talk, no action. All talk, no action politicians. They talk, they get nothing done. They get ripped off by everybody. They're controlled by their PAC. I'm the only one that's self-funding my campaign. I'm the only one. I feel like sort of foolish because my whole thing was take money, grab it. I'm a business guy, grab money. I've always been so good at that. Grab it. When things get bad, I hit the banks. I say it was your fault that I get a huge discount. Grab that money. The economy crashes, it doesn't matter. I make it work. I always make it work. So what happens is guys come up to me now because I'm in first place by a lot. By a lot. A few weeks ago, they're saying, well, it's close. Let me tell you, by a lot, we all know. So now all these guys, and they were all the way along, because, you know, actually, from the time I announced, just about, till now, I've been in first place all the time. And one other thing, and this is why I love the people that I'm with, and why it's easy to do this. The one thing that comes out, may be greater than anything else, is that my supporters, they're your supporters, they're all of us, we're all together, okay? I'm just here. But my supporters are the most loyal supporters by far of any candidate by far. It's true. It's true. And it comes out. And sometimes I'll make a statement, they'll say, oh, this is the end. This is the end. Right? This is the end. It's finally going to happen. And then my guys walk into the office and say, Mr. Trump, our poll numbers have just gone through the roof. I say, what? That's only happened about 4 times so far, right? But it comes out and they really cover it. Some people have a very, very low number in terms of what happens. You know, they breathe wrong and those supporters leave them. With me, look at those guys nodding, right? And I like you guys too. Nobody gonna mess with those 2 guys. Even though they wear glasses, nobody's going to mess with them, right? But my guys and my gals are the most loyal. They are here. And the number is a number higher than they've ever seen before. It's so much higher than everybody else's. And I love you for it, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. It means so much. with all that being said, I don't make too many mistakes, but we're not going to. So, I watch these pundits on television, and you know, they call them the intellectuals. They're not intellectuals. I'm much smarter than all of them, I think. You know? I think I have a much higher IQ. I think I went to a better college, better everything. You know, I went to an Ivy League school. It's amazing. It's amazing the way they treat all of us, the way they treat us. And you have these guys like a George Will, he sits with the little spectacles. If he didn't have the spectacles, you wouldn't think he's smart. Because he's wrong so much. He's been wrong on the wars, he's been wrong on everything for years. But he's got attitude. You know, the attitude works, but I don't think he's an intellectual. He looks like an intellectual, but I don't think he is. I don't think he's smart enough to be an intellectual. I think a lot of people in this room, including me, I think a lot of people in this room are intellectuals. You have a guy like Karl Rove. This guy's the worst. The worst. He spends, listen to this, he spends approximately $435 million of other people's money. I want to find out how much of that money does he keep, because maybe he's not as stupid as I think, but it's probably plenty. But he spends all of that money, for over $400 million, on different races. He doesn't win one race. I see some of the ads, and they're so bad that I thought they were for the Democrat. I said, that guy did a great job for his client. They said, no, that ad was for the Republican. So we have guys like this, and we've got to get our own chip going. You know, we've lost a lot of elections. The last election should have been won with Mitt Romney. It should have been won. It should have been won. Something bad happened. Look at them. They're still pouring in. Do you believe this? I love the fire marshal. Whoever the fire marshal is, he's a good person because he's allowing. Just hope we don't have a fire, folks, that's all. But I love the fire marshal here. So, what's happened, and I think it's incredible, during the last little while, I was talking about illegal immigration. And when I came down in that escalator, and I started speaking about illegal immigration and the problems that it's causing, and not only economic and jobs and other things, but the crime and the crime wave and the tremendous difficulties. I took heat like nobody has ever seen anybody take heat. Rush Limbaugh, and I say this, he was great and he's been great, but Rush Limbaugh said, I have never seen any human being take so much incoming as Trump. And then I doubled down. He said, then he doubled down instead of apologize. They all wanted me to drop to my knees and say, I'm so sorry. I don't do that, folks. I don't do that. I even had political people that are friends of mine. They came up to me and they said, Donald, I'd like to talk to you. Yes. You know, politicians. And I think they meant well. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe they're not. But they came up to me and they said, I'd like to talk, I'd like to meet. I said, I don't want to meet, just tell me, talk over the phone. We don't have enough time, we have to be efficient. You should apologize. I said, for what? Well, what you said on illegal immigration. I said, what I said is right, what I said is true. Anyway, time goes by, and it's been proven that I was right. It's been proven. And I was right about bombing the oil. Right now they're bombing the oil. You folks would remember, but you remember 2 years ago I said, bomb the oil and keep it? Remember? I said it over and over and over because I said ISIS is making a fortune. They say $1 million a day. ISIS is making a fortune. They're rich. They use the internet better than we do. They're rich. They're convincing our kids to join ISIS. And then kids join ISIS, they go over, fight for ISIS, hate the United States, and then they come back home, and we let them in because we're so stupid. No more, believe me, no more, no more, no more. It's so sad, it's so sad. They leave the country, they fight for ISIS, and we let them back, and I think it has something to do with the constitutionality of something. Nobody can be that stupid, okay? Nobody. And other countries would never do it. They would never do it. So, I look at what's going on, and I look at what's happening with us and what's happening to us as a nation. And we've become soft, we've become weak, we've become a laughing stock all over the world, all over the world. You look at Paris as an example. If some of those folks that were gunned down, you had hundreds and hundreds of people in the room. If some of those folks carried guns, you wouldn't have this. These savages, and by the way, they're calling them all sorts of great names, the leaders, right? What's the name they use more than any other? They're calling them all sorts of names, all these beautiful, incredible names. The word I hear more than any other name is mastermind, the mastermind. I called him the guy with the dirty, filthy hat, who's a semi-thug. He's nothing. But I watch the news, and I see, and actually he treats me nicely, so I'm not going to say anything badly. One of the few anchors actually treats me. But he's talking, the mastermind is being hunted right now. They're trying to figure it out. You know, he's a brilliant young man. Brilliant. He dropped a couple of kids into a room, and they started shooting people indiscriminately. There's nothing brilliant. Nothing brilliant. Then they ultimately, hopefully blew him up. I think they think it's him. But the man, because they can't even tell. I mean, this is serious. This is a serious way. And by the way, they don't want to die. They don't want to die. You know, they don't want to die. Believe me, you hear all the stories, they want to die. They don't want to die. We got to knock the crap out of them, folks. I'll tell you. We got to go after them. And I was against, I have to tell you, I say it proudly, I was totally against, you know that, you all know that, I was totally against the war in Iraq because you were going to destabilize the Middle East. Everything I said came true. Everything I said came true. Now we have a problem because you have Russia. Remember a month ago I said, let Russia bomb them if they want to bomb them. And then you have these guys like Lindsey Graham, I want full credit for bombing. I don't want full credit. Let them bomb, we'll bomb ISIS, it's okay. The problem is, Russia's with Assad, right? Head of Syria. Can you believe I'm talking about Iran is now, because we gave them so much money, they're now involved. Okay, but they're going to go after ISIS. They don't want them. Russia just lost an airliner over ISIS, okay? And ISIS was bragging that they knocked down Russia. I think that was a big mistake. Because one thing with Putin, he's really hitting them hard, okay? But I said a month ago, 2 months ago, when it wasn't fashionable, if Russia wants to bomb them, let them bomb them. And they all said, well, they're not going after ISIS. I said, they will. And then a plane gets blown up that's a Russian plane, and now they're really going. And that's fine. We've spent trillions and trillions of dollars in Afghanistan, in Iraq. We have nothing. We have nothing. When we left Iraq, I said, not just bomb. In fact, I wanted to take it over without the bomb. We save all the equipment, which is very expensive. I said, take the oil. Remember that? Everyone said, what a horrible thing he said. What a horrible, horrible thing that he said, keep the oil. Isn't that terrible? It's a sovereign, it's sovereign, nothing. They killed us, those leaders. That's why you have ISIS. Because they cut them off so viciously that ISIS formed, and ISIS now is tougher and smarter than them. And if we're not involved, they'd go in right away and take over Iraq. But now ISIS is getting beat up pretty badly. This morning they asked me a question. Would you approve waterboarding? Would I approve waterboarding? Yeah. Would I approve waterboarding? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. On the other side, they chop off our young people's heads and they put them on a stick. On the other side, they build these iron cages and they'll put 20 people in them and they drop them in the ocean for 15 minutes and pull them up 15 minutes later. Would I approve waterboarding? You bet your ass I'd approve. You bet your ass. In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And I would approve more than that. And don't kid yourself, folks. It works, okay? It works. Only a stupid person would say it doesn't work. It works. They're all saying, oh, it has no effect. It has. I know people that are very, very important people, and they want to be politically correct. And I see some people talking on television about, well, I don't know if it works. And they tell me later on, it works. It works. Believe me, it works. And you know what? If it doesn't work, they deserve it anyway for what they're doing to us. But it works. It works. Now, we've been having an interesting time because, as you know, I said we have to really be vigilant with respect to the Muslim population. We have great people in the Muslim population, but something's happening. Something's happening. I always say, they're not coming out of Sweden that want to kill us. They're not coming from Norway. They're not coming from Denmark. They're coming from a certain part with a certain philosophy. There's some bad stuff happening. And I said, we have to surveil. We have to have strong surveillance. We have to create lists for the Syrian refugees coming in. We have to create lists. We have to create lists. We have the refugees coming in, and we have to create lists. Two people. So sad. You know, it's sad, it's rude too. And you know part of the problem? We have 10,000, 12,000 people here. Those two people will have a little line that, oh, they were pickets. They're not pickets. Yeah, you can get them the hell out. Go ahead, get them. So, when it comes to the mosques, I have great respect for all religions, but we have to have a certain surveillance because things are happening that are not good. So here's what happens, and it was very interesting. During a speech recently, I said that I saw in parts of New Jersey, Jersey City, but parts of New Jersey, I saw people getting together and in fairly large numbers celebrating as the World Trade Center was coming down, killing thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people. People are still dying over what happened to the World Trade Center, and they're dying a terrible death. And I saw people, and I saw on television, and I read about it on the internet, and I read about it. So they said, oh, we can't find anything, Mr. Trump. The reporters are calling all day, all night. They want to find out, did Trump make a mistake? So I have some good people. And they checked and they checked. And believe me, it's being cleared off, plenty of stuff. They don't like that, because that's not good for the liberal cause, right? But they don't like it. And lo and behold, I start getting phone calls in my office by the hundreds that they were there and they saw this take place. On the internet, at my tweets, @RealDonaldTrump. @RealDonaldTrump. They'll turn those cameras off for a second. Look at all of them. @RealDonaldTrump. So all of a sudden, I'm getting all of these tweets. I saw it, I was there, I was this. But I saw it. So what happens, I put my, and it was a long time ago. So September 18th. Now, September 11th was one of the worst days, maybe the worst day in the history of our country. Worse than Pearl Harbor, because at least with Pearl Harbor, they were attacking the military. They were attacking ships and they were attacking the military. Here they're attacking civilians that had, I know so many people that died in the World Trade Center. Unbelievable people, great people, friends of mine, unbelievable people. They died in the World Trade Center. This wasn't real. They didn't have weapons. They didn't have anything. They were horribly. And that was a horrible death. I watched people jumping off the building. How would you like to be 102 stories up and your choice is burn or jump. And many people jumped. And I witnessed it. I watched that. Because I had a view. I have a window in my apartment that specifically was aimed at the World Trade Center because of the beauty of the whole downtown Manhattan. And I watched as people jumped, and I watched the second plane come in. And I was watching television when the first plane hit. And they said, no, it must have been a boiler explosion, but I'm good at real estate. Boilers are not up there. Boilers are underneath, right? They're in the basements. And I said, that was not a boiler. And then I saw the second plane come in. And I said, wow, that's unbelievable. And there were people that were very, very happy. And those people, not good people. So, nobody believed me. Some people believed me. By the way, thousands of people believed me because they saw it. But the media was going crazy. They were having a field day. And one of my people came in, Mr. Trump, I have a story in the Washington Post. Washington Post? Washington Post. How good is that, right? That's good. Because they do us no favors. They do us no. They're one of many. But they do us. And I have to tell you, and I say it a lot, among the most dishonest people I've ever dealt with are the media. The media. Among dishonest. Believe me. Among the most dishonest. Unbelievable. The level of dishonesty is unbelievable. Not everybody. I've met some incredible people. Those people right there with all the cameras going. And some are very good. And, in all fairness, I've dealt with some very fair people. I've dealt with some really treacherous, horrible human beings that will quote you totally wrong, things that you never even said. I said, I never said that. But they're very dishonest people. So, one of my people comes in. This is a story from the Washington Post on September 18th, a week later, 2001. In Jersey City, within hours of two jetliners plowing into the World Trade Center, law enforcement authorities detained and questioned a number of people who were allegedly seen celebrating the attacks and holding tailgate style. Tailgate, you know what that means? Tailgate. That means football games, Ohio State, thousands of people in parking lots, on roofs. Tailgate is a lot of people. Tailgate's not two people. And holding tailgate-style parties on rooftops while they watched the devastation on the other side of the river. Okay? Washington Post. Washington Post. So they've come in, and we've received hundreds of phone calls in my office because it's become sort of a big subject. And they want to try and deny it, but you can't deny it. Many people in this room heard about it, probably saw it. And, the sad part is, we're all sort of on the same side. Whether you're liberal or conservative or Democrat or Republican, we're sort of on the same. We want our country to be great again. That's what the whole thing is, right? It really doesn't make sense. But fortunately, somebody in the Washington Post wrote that, and they'll try and deny it. They'll probably say, well, we made a mistake, which I almost like that better. Then I could show you how dishonest they all are. I might like that better. Let them say that. But they'll find some reason to deny it. They'll call it a typo. It was about it was a very long and winding typo. But they'll try and deny it. But I don't think they'll be able to. Not with the smart people, they're not going to be able to. So, I love you too, darling. Where are you? Let me see. Beautiful. Thank you, honey. So nice. So, we are going to start winning big league. We are going to win on trade. We are going to win on Obamacare, which will be terminated and replaced quickly. We're going to win in so many different ways. We're going to win with our military, and we're going to take care of our vets. We're going to take care of our vets. Our vets are treated terribly. When I said keep the oil, you know what I wanted? A portion of that money, which is astronomical we're talking about. Keep the oil. You know, in the old days, to the victor belong the spoils, right? You ever see us? We go and louse up a whole deal, and we leave, we get nothing. We never keep anything. Because it's not politically correct to keep the spoils. It's not politically correct to keep the oil. But it is politically correct to keep the oil and give a lot of the profits from that oil to the soldiers and the families of those soldiers who died and were so badly wounded. So badly wounded. The wounded warriors and the vets, let me tell you, the wounded warriors, they have more guts than all of us. I see them and I see their spirit. And you know what? They don't even get well taken care of what they gave up. They gave up their legs, their arms. They gave up more than that. And we treat them terribly. And I said, keep the oil and let's give a hell of a lot of it to those wounded warriors, to those vets, and to the families of the people that lost people. That lost their loved ones. And they say, oh, that's not nice. Just not nice. So we started bombing 2 days ago. We started bombing the same oil that I've been talking about for 2.5 years. And we started bombing. We are just it's so horrible. Gitmo. Obama releases 5 prisoners the day of the attack. Right? In Paris. 5. They're going back to the UAE, which means, you know, they're going to be taken care of for a couple of days, then they're going to be right back on the battlefield. Sergeant Bergdahl, the worst. He's a traitor, he's a dirty, rotten traitor. And I always say, we get Bergdahl, a horrible traitor who deserted. In the old days, you get shot. We get Bergdahl, and this is the way we negotiate. They get 5 of the greatest killers that they know. They've been after them for 9 years. So they get these 5 guys that are now back on the battlefield trying to kill everybody, including all of us. We just don't have a clue. We make the Iran deal. We give them $150 billion. They're allowed to self-inspect in many cases. Where they don't self-inspect, they've got 24 days before we can come in. But before the clock starts ticking, it has to go through a whole procedure. So that could be 6 months. Who knows how long it's going to be? And we don't even get our prisoners back. We get nothing. We get nothing. We have people that should be ashamed of themselves. Ashamed of themselves. So, what's happened is you had a horrible event, and obviously another horrible event right after in the hotel. You had a horrible event that took place in Paris. You had an event where people were gunned down like sitting ducks. Come over, boom, come over, boom. Like sitting ducks, they were helpless. They couldn't do a thing. Amazing, amazing people. I watched on television. I couldn't take my eyes off it as their friends were describing what incredible people she was and he was and all of the people that died so violently. They couldn't defend themselves. No way they could defend themselves. So what happens is we look at that, and I've been working very hard on the borders. I'm the only one, by the way, believe me. I know all the guys. I've been working on the borders. And all of a sudden, the borders, because we will build a wall, believe me. We're going to build a wall. 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 Incredible. So I've been working on that from the beginning, from the time I came down the escalator. And I've been saying you gotta have it. So easy to do. I don't know if you know it. 12 years ago, they wanted to build, now they'll go back and say, I don't see that. Well, 12 years ago, and a long time ago, and for a long time, many people wanted to build a wall. Do you know one of the reasons we didn't build it? Environmental income. I'll tell you what. environmental statements because of something. Maybe a snake, maybe a toad, maybe a rabbit. I'm telling you, it was a huge obstacle. And then ultimately they have people that don't know how to build, so it came in very expensively. But what's expense? What's expense? I will build the greatest wall you've ever seen. It will be a beautiful wall. It will be a big wall. It will be a wall that is impenetrable. And that wall will have a door in it, and that wall, I'll tell you what, I want people to come into the country, and so do you, but they have to come in legally. Legally. And we have a lot of people in this country right now, illegal immigrants that came in, and they're members of gangs in Los Angeles and Chicago. Nobody wants to talk about it. They're members of, you know, Kate in San Francisco. Beautiful Kate, shot in the back by a guy that's been here at least 5 or 6 times, probably pushed over because other countries are too smart. They don't want him. So they say, give him to the dumb American politicians, they'll take him. And whether he does something wrong or not, he'll be in their jails for 40 years. They'll take care of him. So we're going to get the bad ones out even before I start building the wall. We got some real bad dudes. We got some bad ones. They're going to be out so fast. They're going to be out so fast. You go into Los Angeles and you ask the people in Los Angeles what's going on with the gangs. And the worst gangs, the worst, are here illegally. And they're going to be gone. And you know what? Our police do a phenomenal job. And they know who they are. They know who they are. But we've taken the power away. We've taken the power away from law enforcement. And these are people that are afraid to act now because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to lose their pension. And yeah, you're always going to have a bad apple. That happens no matter what business you're in. You're going to have bad apples. And things are going to happen that are bad. And I've seen it, you've seen it, we've all seen it. It like disgusts us. But they do a phenomenal job overall. And we need protection. We need these people. They're incredible people. And those local police, they know who the bad ones are. They know it. They can walk right up to them. They know the gangs. They know. They're told to stand back. Don't do anything. When people come across the border, they say, don't do anything, just stand there. They walk right through. How stupid can we be? How stupid can we be? Anchor babies. A woman's pregnant, she has the baby, she walks across the line. She has a baby in the United States. We take care of the baby now for 85 years, or whatever the length is. Nobody else does that. Can you imagine doing that in Mexico? They would laugh at you. They would say, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And they feel it. I love Mexico. I love the Mexican people. Thousands of people work for me. Thousands. I've created tens of thousands of jobs. But you know what? They can't even believe that we do it. So then they said we need a new amendment, which is a huge problem. It takes years and years and probably can't happen. But we don't. Because they came illegally. They had a baby illegally. And the most we have is a simple act of Congress. All of these people were wrong. I was right. You don't need to go through a new constitutional amendment. But why should we? And you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And by the way, they come in from all over. They come through Mexico, but they come in from Asia. They come from all over. They fly in because we're stupid. It's crazy. And here's the story. I was right. The great constitutional lawyers have now said I was right. I sort of lucked into that one. I must tell you, a little bit lucked into that one. I just couldn't believe it that anybody could have such a thing, where these people can have a baby and now they're an American citizen. So remember this, they're not an American citizen. We may have to go through some court, we may have to go through something in Congress, but I'll get it done. But we can't have this. We can't have this. We cannot have it. So what's happened is everybody, when you look at the polls, the ones that just came out, the Fox poll, the CNN poll, I get the highest marks on economy and all, but I get really high marks on borders and safety. the borders and the safety. And I get high marks from the military. They know I'm not going to play games. They know I'm going to build a military so strong, so powerful, that nobody's going to mess with us anymore. Nobody. You know, building a strong military so that nobody wants to toy with us, building a strong military is the single cheapest thing we can do. We're fighting all these wars because they don't respect us. And then we never fight anything to win. We don't fight to win. When I was growing up, I used to say, our military, I'm proud of this country. Our military's never lost a war, which is true. We had General Douglas MacArthur. We had General Patton. We had these people. Today, a guy like Patton wouldn't be allowed to even get through most basic training because he was a vulgar guy. He was a tough guy. He used bad language. Oh, give me one of these guys. I will find a new Patton. We have them. We have them. We have them. They're tough and they're smart. I don't want tough. You know, I know a lot of tough guys that aren't smart. They're easy. I want tough and I want smart. I want tough and I want brilliant. We have people. We've got to find them. We lost a great general 2 years ago because his language was foul. He spoke badly and he was respected by everybody. But we lost him because he spoke with foul language. That's what we're doing now. We can't have it anymore, folks. We're in this together. And let me tell you, I really believe we can make our country greater than ever before. Greater. But we can't have Hillary with all of her corruption and all of her stuff. Can't have it. Can't have it. If we have that anymore, it's going to be over the edge. You know, they call it over the tipping edge. But we can do something special. So, I was given a lot of credit for border security. So when the problem happened in Paris, a lot of these very, very not so smart pundits said, well, that's the end of Trump because that's not his expertise. Believe me, I'm really good at this. So they said, that's the end of Trump. That should now, Ben Carson has sort of self-imploded for different reasons. Okay? He's self-imploded. And he's going down. But I won't talk about that. Right? Yeah. I won't. She said, yeah, forget it. But others have imploded. You look at a lot of the people running. But everybody said, oh, well, this isn't Trump's expertise. So what happens, and what happens strongly, the polls come out, and I'm through the roof because people feel secure. I promise you, I will protect you. Nobody's going to play with us. Nobody. 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 And they like the wall. They know I can build the wall. I'll build a tall wall. But you know what? They thought that because this is in Paris, and this is ISIS, and this is Al-Qaeda, and this is others, that maybe we'll get somebody else with a so-called expertise. Like who? Jeb Bush, he's falling asleep. Like Hillary. Hillary, talking about the night. How about Hillary? Hillary went out. How about 500 or 600 phone calls from the ambassador, and she didn't return the calls? 5, but she's calling back her friends all the time. This is who's going to be our president? I don't think so. I don't think so. And by the way, the coolest thing in the polls, I beat Hillary one-on-one by a lot. It just came out. It just came out. A lot. By a lot. Fox poll. And I couldn't say it, boy, would they be correcting me if I say it. That's the thing. You have to be you have to be very precise with these characters. So, what has happened is that security and border and walls, and you have to come into the country legally, has morphed into ISIS because basically we want to keep that crap out of here. Okay? We want to keep them out. And I'm the guy to do it, and they know that. So they come in and they see me and they say, Mr. Trump, you're now leading by even more than you were leading. So it turned out to be a mess. But I can tell you, we are going to keep it safe. We are going to keep our country safe. We're not going to follow this formula. I can be the most politically correct person in the world. That's the way I was educated, actually, to be that way. It takes too long. Do you remember when they were talking about Anchor Baby? And a certain announcer during a news conference said, you know that's a derogatory term. I said, what would you like me to say? Well, the child of a illegal immigrant who came into, undocumented immigrant, who came into the country at a certain time. I said, wait a minute. No, can't say that. Can't say that. Too long. It's too long. Too long. Anchor Baby, right? Anchor. So what happened then is all of the things that you see happening worldwide. They knew that I called the oil. They knew that I wrote a book in the year 2000, right? I wrote a book and I said Osama bin Laden. I said we better take him out because I watch and I study and I see this guy was saying horrible things about our country and how he's going to come in and do big, big damage and big destruction to our country. And I said in my book, you better take him out. He's going to crawl under a rock. That was before the World Trade Center came down. And a couple of the announcers in the morning, Joe Scarborough for one, said, whoa, when did he say it? Before the World Trade Center. And I've gotten credit for it. We have to be vigilant. We have to be smart. We have to be so tough. And the only language that they understand is tough. They don't understand nice. Some people do, some people don't. You know, in deals, I talk a lot about deals. Oh, are we going to make great trade deals? We're going to stop corporate inversion. You know, we have companies leaving. They're leaving. We're losing tremendous numbers of jobs because our politicians are, through faulty taxes and faulty programs, they're allowing Pfizer is leaving. They're allowing these great companies to leave our country with thousands and tens of thousands and ultimately millions of jobs left behind. I'll solve that so fast. Carl Icahn's working with me. He's one of the greats. We're going to solve that so fast. I want to say Pfizer. I mean, I know the head of Pfizer is a great guy. But, you know, there's a case of everybody. There's $2.5 trillion or more offshore in different countries. Everybody agrees we should let it come back to the United States. Everybody. There's nobody. The Democrats and Republicans, they still can't make a deal. This has been going on for 2.5, 3 years. They can't make a deal. Washington is gridlocked. They all agree. This is one of the few things they agree. The money should come back. They can't get anything done. They can't agree. All of that's going to change. We're going to bring that money back. We're going to bring the jobs back. We're not going to let Pfizer leave. We're going to talk to them. They're going to stay. Nobody even talks to them. Nobody talks to them. And I'm going to have the greatest business minds in the world. And we have the greatest. I know many of them. I know all of them. Some are nice people. Some are not nice people. I don't care if they're nice. Do we care if they're nice? I don't care. Who cares? But we're going to make deals the likes of which you've ever seen. We're not going to lose $400 billion a year on trade imbalance with China. $70 billion a year with Japan. $70 billion. $40 billion with Mexico, the car capital of the world someday soon. They're taking our factories. They're taking our cars. We're making cars. Ford is spending $2.5 billion on building a plant. $2.5 billion. And then they're going to make cars, send them over the border, no tax, no. How does that help us, folks? Not going to happen anymore. I'm not going to go through the story. Not going to happen. Because the one thing that I'm seeing is Ford, Nabisco, you know, they're leaving Chicago. They're moving their plant into, you know about that. No more Oreos, right? They're leaving, and I'm not saying you're heavy. You look beautiful, but nevertheless. No more Oreos. Nabisco is moving their plant from Chicago to Mexico. I'm not going to let it happen. But here's what is happening. Since Paris, it's taken on a very different turn, and my speeches have taken on a very different trade. Believe me, I do that out of my back. I'm really good at that stuff. Okay, I built a great company. I built a company. Everyone said, "Oh, he'll never run because maybe his company's not as big as people think." Turned out to be much bigger, much stronger, much richer. The greatest assets. It's a tremendous under-leveraged, way under-leveraged. And you know what? I tell you not because I'm bragging. I tell you for a simple reason. That's the kind of thinking we need running this country. We've got to run the country properly. So, what's happened is when I speak to people, as of the last week, since Paris, I'm talking about trade. Believe me, it'll be great. You'll be happy. I'm talking about Obamacare. You're going to be happy. We're going to terminate. You're going to be happy. You're going to have something great. I told you. But let me tell you, I don't spend a lot of time talking about it. Believe me, you're going to be happy. We're going to become a dynamic force. My tax return is lowering everybody's taxes bigly. Corporations are being lowered. They're the highest tax, we're the highest tax nation in the world. And we've become stagnant with taxes and restrictions. And it's going to end. But forget that. Forget that. Because now I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. But now I don't talk about that so much anymore. It's going to happen. I do that stuff out of my back pocket. That's what I'm really great at. But I'm going to be great. I'm going to be just as good. I'm going to hopefully be even better at our security and at making us really strong and at not having you worry about horrible things happening to your cities where you have scum, garbage, where you have garbage that our anchors use these horrible terms like masterminds. You have people that are bad. We're going to be safe. And we're going to help the world. We're going to be with the world. We're going to fight with the world, but we're going to do it together. We've got to do it together. And we're not letting Syrian refugees who we don't know where they are. Look, I have a bigger heart than anybody, and I love the idea of building a safe zone in Syria. Build a safe zone. Build a safe zone. Build it. So that they can stay there. And what Merkel did to Germany is a horrible thing. But let those people, let them go back. They probably would rather be there. That's their home. I see it all the time. People work for me in great locations. When they retire, they want to go back to their country, even though you wouldn't say, that's a good thing. You would say, why? But we are going to work on creating safe zones. But I'm going to get other people to pay for it. You know, OPO, other people's, right? OPM? OPO is the post office, and OPM is money. But we're going to get other people to help us. The Gulf states are going to help us. And Germany, and all of these countries that we protect. We protect Japan. We protect South Korea. We protect Germany. Do you know that if we get attacked, Japan doesn't have to help us at all? If they get attacked, we have to send the full force of our armed forces over to protect Japan. Who makes these deals? Who makes deals like that? So it's all morphed into one big, beautiful package. And the package is called you, but maybe it's in the form of me. The beautiful package that we're going to do. And you're going to be so proud, and you're going to be so happy, and you're going to win again. We're going to start winning so much. We're going to win. We're going to win on trade. We're going to win on healthcare. We're going to win with the military. Hopefully you don't have to use it. We're going to win with our vets. We're going to win with our wounded warriors, the greatest people of all. They're incredible. We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to take back our jobs from China and Japan and Mexico. We're going to bring them back. We're going to bring them back. And remember this, and it starts off tough. It starts off tough, but it ends correctly. The American dream is dead, but we're going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. Ever before. And we are going to make America great again, and you're going to be so proud. And I love you all, and thank you. Such a great people. Thank you.